So through this presentation, you will be learning more about phonological awareness and word analysis, identifying and manipulating phonemes in words, and sorting words based on phonics patterns. So phonological awareness is the awareness of individual words and symbols as objects that can be analyzed and manipulated. It's a big umbrella that includes things like understanding rhyming, understanding the onset, beginning consonant of a word, and then the rhyme, the rest of the word, understanding phonemic awareness, which includes additions, deletion, substitution of phonemes, segmenting, blending, and isolation. So phonological awareness is not phonics or phonics knowledge. This comes before phonics. This is mostly oral language and understanding oral language. Generally, you'll see the earliest children understanding rhyming, then moving towards being able to segment sentences and understanding word by word by word, understanding syllables and blending and segmenting based on syllables, understanding onset and rhymes, blending and segmenting there, and then phoneme blending and segmenting within a word, and then the idea of phoneme manipulation where you might be adding, deleting, substituting different phonemes. One way to think about this would be in this stage type model. So early babies are really working on their listening and speaking skills, the stage 1 and 2. Stage 3, this idea of rhyme awareness, oral wordplay in the early preschool years. Syllable awareness from around ages 3 to 5 and understanding spoken words. Then moving on to understanding onset and rhyme, the beginning consonant, and then the rest of the word, like cat. The C is the onset, at is the rhyme. Phonemic awareness with the spoken words. And then when we get to school age, around kindergarten, first grade, we're talking about the phonics idea, understanding that phonemes are represented in print. So rhyme and alliteration, rhyming words and alliteration are probably ideas you are fairly familiar with. There's an example here of alliteration. So Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. The same sounds at the beginning of the word are repeated. Like I just said, onset would be initial consonant sound found at the beginning of a single syllable. The rhyme being what begins with the vowel sound and it's the end of the word. So cake, C is the onset, ache is the rhyme. But not all syllables have an onset with a consonant. So syllables are a unit of pronunciation having one vowel sound. With or without surrounding consonants, they form the whole or a part of a word. But this is not the same thing as phoneme, which is the smallest unit of sound. Phonemic awareness is awareness of individual phonemes or sounds as objects to be analyzed and manipulated. This is usually done orally. It engages learners in manipulating sounds and exploring language. Phonemic awareness prepares students for phonics instruction, but it's not related to print or letter names. Again, this is all happening orally. Students do not have to be able to read in order to have phonemic awareness and be able to manipulate phonemes in syllables. They do not have to be able to read yet. So two key definitions here. Phoneme is the smallest unit of sound in the English language. There are 44 phonemes in English. A grapheme is a written representation of a phoneme. There are 26. Therefore, graphemes are related to our printed letter alphabet. Phonemes, there are more sounds in English language than there are letters. Orthography is understanding the written system of language. So orthography is related to our spelling knowledge and our abilities in spelling. So blending phonemes, there's putting individual sounds together to form a word. So the little picture here, you've got k, ap, cap. Whereas segmenting in the little pictures, you separate the individual sounds in a word. So the activity that's there is a counting activity for probably cap, k, ap. So you would push the little counters for up, one for each k, ap, because there are 3 different phonemes in that word. The word next to it would be pug, so it'd be p, g. So there'd be again 3 counters that moved. So phoneme isolation is the ability to identify where a sound appears in a word, or to identify what sounds appears in a given position. So being able to do this is higher up on the ability, but again, it could be done with younger children, 4, 5, 6 years old would be able to do this. So looking at the words below, count the phonemes in the words. This is a good time where you could pause the slideshow and jot down your responses. In just a moment, the answers will come up. So if you need to pause here, and then this is the set of answers for what just came above. So again, phonemes represent the sounds in the English language, not the letters. So another way to identify and isolate phonemes would be to specifically identify a phoneme in a word. Now for the previous exercise and this one, I wouldn't be using these with young children, but for adults, this is appropriate. So identify the 3rd phoneme in each word. Again, this would be a good time to pause it. And then here are the answers. So if we're thinking about choose, we got ch, u, z is our 3rd phoneme in that word. So for phoneme deletion, if you delete a particular phoneme, then you can identify what word would result. Again, I would not use this set of words with young children, but for adults it's okay. So pause here to do the activity. So in the initial sound of choose, ch is your phoneme. So when you delete ch, you've got oo's left over, and so on. This would be an activity that would be appropriate for younger children for adding a phoneme. So if we start with the word lap and add k, then you would figure out what word occurs. So pause here and identify what word results. And then here are the answers for that activity. This again would be appropriate for younger children. Phoneme substitution, so identify the word you create when you substitute the initial sound. So we started with man, add a k. What does that come up with? So pause and do this activity. And then these would be the answers. Phonics builds off of our phonemic knowledge, but this really works on the idea of understanding how sounds are represented by letters or letter combinations. So how phonemes are represented by graphemes. So similar to phonemic awareness and phonological awareness, this has a continuum. Generally, you would start with understanding letter names and sounds first. This is happening in preschool and kindergarten now. Understanding short vowel sounds, which happen in consonant, vowel, consonant words, and then long vowels, which happen in vowel, consonant situations. We start building on consonant digraphs, then consonant blends, understanding silent E, which makes a long vowel sound, R-controlled vowels, advanced consonants, vowel digraphs and diphthongs, and then you start to build into multiple syllabic words, which would be generally where you're getting in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. So when we're thinking about phonics instruction, we're worried about the relationship between letter and sound, and then how to blend sounds represented by letters. And that's really where our concern is when teaching this. So in our initial consonant words, first letter and first phoneme are a consonant, which is then followed by a vowel. So previously we talked about onset and rhyme. So the onset is a consonant followed by a vowel sound, the rhyme, in the rest of the word. So these are a few examples of that idea. So bass, sat, silt, they all start with a consonant, and the rhyme follows beginning with a vowel. Consonant digraphs are two letters or two graphemes that make one sound that is not associated with either of the letters. So like p, ch, sh. We've got the p and the h, but p is different. The ch, h, ch is different. So these digraphs are not associated with the original letters at all. It makes a different sound. Consonant blends are generally 2 and 3 letters. Each letter represents a phoneme, and they blend together. So these blends retain the original consonant sounds together. These are various examples of them. But the idea here, blends the sounds together. So they remain distinctly like the original consonant. The silent consonant, we've got two graphemes, two letters, and one of them is silent. So the sound is associated with one of the graphemes, but it's not a digraph because one of the graphemes is not pronounced. So there's various types of silent consonants. Some are at the beginning of the word, some are at the end. Double consonants at the end of the word would be considered a silent consonant. We have the idea of soft consonants, so it's not always that hard k, but it might be a soft C with like s. Often G or C followed by E or I or Y make these sounds like gem, giant, bicycle, bicep. However, this is not a full rule because there are certainly exceptions to many of our phonics rules. There are also some inconsistencies in the English language, like S and the various different sounds it has depending on the word. So we have see, sure, has, treasure. All S's, but the S makes different sounds depending on the word. Same thing with F, X, and then QU. It's dependent on the word. So here's an activity for you to take a moment and identify consonant blends, silent letters, and consonant digraphs. Again, you can pause, and in a moment you'll see the results of this, but it would be a good time to pause and make sure you can identify blends, digraphs, and silent letters. So then this is the breakdown of silent letters, consonant blends, and consonant digraphs. We move then on to vowel sounds. We've got our short sounds like mat, pet, twi, in, not, and cub, where opposed to our long vowel sounds which say their name, like mate, a, p, t, e, twine, I, note, o, cube, u. Y has some different functions. It can be preceded by vowels A or E and function as a second vowel, like day, they, key. Or if it's in the final position in a word with 2 or more syllables, it's generally a long E sound, like party, assembly. So vowels and Y together do some different things. Long vowels come in two different formats to consider. We've got the magic E rule, which is not always accurate, so be cautious about sharing this with young kids. But it starts with a vowel, there's a consonant in between, and then a silent E at the end, making the long vowel sound of the original vowel. And then there's a consonant vowel cluster, so that's considered an open syllable, and it would say its name. So snake, E is silent, we have a long A. Fly, we've got the long I, fly. Me, E, and so on. So we've got the consonant followed by a vowel letter. It's considered an open syllable, therefore the vowel says its name. Then we have R-controlled vowels, often called the bossy R. In moments like IR, ER, UR, it's not a long or a short sound. It makes more of a blend between the letters, like bird, bird. You don't hear a long or a short sound for the I, it's mixed with the R. So when you have that R attached to a vowel, the R tends to take over and makes a different sound. And there are various examples here. So like consonants, there are vowel digraphs. They are two graphemes or letter sounds. Oftentimes, but not always, if you've got two vowels together, vowel next to a vowel, normally the first vowel does the talking. So we tell the kids when two vowels go walking, the first one does the talking. That works much of the time, but not always. It's a pure vowel sound. So these are various examples: peach, scene, brain. So our first vowel is doing the talking. Be wary of things like show and growth because they don't exactly fit the model. Moving on, thinking about some of this show and growth, vowel diphthongs are a vowel blend. It's not a pure vowel sound, it's a glide between one or more vowel sounds. So these are like AU, AW, AUGH, OI, OW, WO, OW, and OU. And there are various examples of this, like vowel, trowel, sound, clown. So thinking about those sounds, it's a glide, not a pure vowel sound. So similar to previous activities is the part where you can pause, sort the words, and identify which one's short vowel, long vowel, diphthongs, or R-controlled vowels. And then here are the answers for that set of activities. So general vowel patterns, if you're looking at a syllable and you have a consonant vowel consonant or a vowel consonant, it tends to be a short vowel sound. If you got vowel consonant E, it tends to be a long vowel. Vowel vowel also tends to be a long vowel sound, and consonant vowel also tends to be a long vowel sound. And these are various examples. So if we're trying to now sort by the different common word patterns, this is the time where you can sort the different common word patterns like consonant vowel consonant, vowel consonant, consonant vowel vowel consonant, consonant vowel consonant silent E, and then consonant vowel. So pause here, do the activity, and then check your work. Okay. And that is the end of our brief introduction to phonological awareness and phonics.